Hey guys, welcome to the Strong by Choice podcast. This episode is all about pivoting. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, like, and share on Facebook at Strong by Choice and also on Instagram at Strong_by Choice.
Welcome to the Strong by Choice podcast, where our purpose is to inspire women to be bold about their intentions and to take massive action working towards their goals in all areas of life. Hey guys, I'm Susan, better known as Susie Savage.
And hey guys, it's me, Desiree.
Today we're talking about pivoting. This is super important in my life right now. I'm at a pivoting point in business, life, and in health. So to kind of give you a little update, if you haven't listened to the other episodes, make sure you go back and listen, subscribe so you never miss an episode. So I started off as an athletic trainer, which is sports medicine. And then I was certified as a strength and conditioning coach. I worked for a year as an athletic trainer, started personal training, opened my personal training business. And now, what are we, 2 years later?
Yep.
About 2 years later, while I'm still training, I've transitioned from doing weight loss to powerlifting and teaching other women how to lift heavy things. And now I'm also teaching other women about business. And it's been an interesting journey. One, just seeing how my life and my goals have evolved. There are certain things that, like I said, I was never going to do like in life just because I didn't think I wanted to do them. Like I never wanted to be a coach. I coached high school track. I thought I was going to hate it. I loved it. That was weird. I saw myself being an athletic trainer like long term in my life. I don't know why I went to college for 6 years and I'm not doing it. But just seeing how I've evolved and the things that I thought were going to happen and the way my life is set up now, I did not picture it being this way at all. And that's not to say that it's bad. It's very much good and it's just very interesting. But as you grow as a person, as you grow as a woman in your relationships, in your career, you realize that the things that you wanted at a certain age in your life will be drastically different.
Oh gosh, so different.
Yeah, you set goals for yourself. And actually, funny story, when I was in my senior year of undergrad, we had to write a letter to ourselves, but it was supposed to be ourselves 5 years later, I think it was. And then they would send us our letter 5 years later, whatever. But we were supposed to like write like the things that we wanted to accomplish and like where we thought we would be. And I definitely thought like I was still going to be an athletic trainer working with football and different personal things that did not work out with current relationships and things like that. But it was just interesting, like what I really thought was going to happen in my life and where I really am and how I got here. I think a lot of critical things happened that changed the trajectory of my life, one being the birth of my daughter. And I think without her, I probably wouldn't have gotten into entrepreneurship so early. We were talking about this the other day. With being an athletic trainer, it's a big time commitment. And I know I've always wanted to be a mom. Yeah, with traveling with the team and things like that. I know I always wanted to be a mom and I wanted to spend time with my daughter. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, so I wanted to be able to find the best of both worlds, being able to have a career but still being there for my daughter. So that's how I got to entrepreneurship. But again, I never wanted to be a trainer. Like I always said it was something I never wanted to do. I don't want to say it was like below me or anything like that, but just
She thought it was below her.
No, I don't like people.
Ooh,
so it's like the baggage that comes with being a trainer or dealing with people's like emotions, because it's never just physical.
Never.
So I didn't want to deal with that, I don't think. And I didn't think that I would be good at it because I'm not like a people person. And I also, we talked about it in another episode, like I hate like having to be my business, like having to like basically like pimp my body out, like put pictures of me up so people will come to me, which whatever. But yeah, I never thought I would be a trainer, but then again, I kind of pivoted, didn't want to be an athletic trainer, and it was the eeasiest thing to do. I was already in shape, already looked the part, already had people who would always be like, come train me, whatever, including Desiree. I'm just playing. We'll work out together when I came home from college.
That part, yeah. I'm thinking a different scenario.
No.
Yeah.
But, so being a trainer, that part actually came really natural I guess because I loved helping people in other aspects, and a lot of training, it included athletic training in sports medicine and strength and conditioning. I was able to combine those things to create the kind of culture that I wanted within my own business. But we talked about before, my business expanded real fast. When
I think about it, it really did go really fast.
Really fast.
It popped off really, it was nice.
My first full year as an entrepreneur, we had hundreds of clients come through.
Yeah.
Because at one point we had almost 100 current clients, and that was before we moved into this space.
Yeah.
So we've helped hundreds of people in a single year.
Yeah.
We made lots of money, but seeing how successful I was in such a short amount of time, it made me really want to help other women, and seeing the struggles that I went through and the things that I dealt with, what I wish I knew from the beginning. It made me really want to expose more of that, because I don't feel like I was exposed to any of that. And I don't come from a family of entrepreneurs. I really don't have anyone around me who was doing their own thing. A lot of this was a trial and error. Mm-hmm. And again, with my background being in sports medicine and strength and conditioning and nothing related to business whatsoever, it was a learning process. So it's interesting now that I'm at this point. But I gained so much success so quickly, and I really feel like it's attainable for anyone because I didn't have the background, because I didn't have the resources, but I found them. I made a way. Yeah. So it makes me feel like any person can do it, and I want other women to be able to experience that as well. So now here I am, business coach Susan. I'm like, how did I get here? Mm-hmm. And in the last episode, we talked about imposter syndrome, and a lot of people would get to this point where they're like, I'm pivoting, I want to do something else, but can I do it? Am I qualified? Everyone knows me as this. But all of those thoughts are only going to hold you back. And so when you get to that point where you have to decide that whether you are the business or you want to be a business owner, and decide from there how you want to grow. Mm-hmm. Because I think that's also really important as an entrepreneur, as a career person, deciding what you really want for yourself and how you want to be involved. But again, as you grow, those things are gonna change.
You have to be open and leave room for change.
Yeah,
and that it's about defining yourself as a person and who you are, but also not letting that actually be like a trap or a box for you. Because
not letting your business define who you are.
Yeah.
Because there is Better Bodies, which is a great gym for women who want to be empowered and want to strength train. There's Susan, who is a trainer, a strength and conditioning coach. There's Susan, who's a power lifter. There's Susan, the mom. Susan, the business owner. But Susan is also a business coach. Yeah. And because I am a trainer doesn't mean that I can't do these other things. Yeah. But I think you have to look at yourself differently if you want other people to look at you differently as well. Mm-hmm. And the things that you put out there have to align with who you want to be. And I think so many of us are afraid to, especially when it's something drastically different. Yeah. And things that what you didn't think you would want to do or necessarily didn't align.
Even capable of
doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm definitely at that pivot point in my life. But I'm excited for it. And I think that's the difference. Some people, they're afraid of it. They don't want to feel the insecurity or the instability of doing something completely different. Yeah. But I'm so excited. The amount of women that I'm going to help and the impact I'm going to have on my community. And even with this podcast, the amount of people that we're going to reach. I think it's so important to make sure that you're not limiting yourself based on who you are or who you were. And again, just embracing who you want to be. And allowing yourself to be that person, allowing yourself room to trial and error, allowing yourself room to fail, but still taking that step and going for it.
Yeah. And, you have, especially going back, even talking on my own story, I didn't think, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. I already knew this was going to happen. I didn't think as far as the being a trainer aspect, that was the biggest thing that was kind of where did that come from?
How did I get here?
But working with women and being involved with a group of women and developing my own group of women that I'm working with has always been a part of the plan. I didn't know all the details into it. And I think that's what happens a lot with people. You have a certain a vision of where you see yourself, but you don't know all the details. Mm-hmm. And so when the details start to come in front of you, you're like, oh, well, that doesn't match my vision. But it really doesn't matter, which is why I stated, you have to leave room for growth and change, because it changes as you go on through this journey and you have an idea of what you want to do, so many more opportunities open up for you that you never really even imagined. And so you have to be willing to be able to be strong enough and bold enough to jump into those different opportunities that come about, because ultimately it still is aiding in getting you towards that vision that you ultimately have for yourself. Right. And not only will it get you to that vision, but it also can expand that vision. That vision that you had is only one piece of it, but it could be a whole, what's the word when it's like panoramic? Is that the word, panoramic?
Yeah.
You can get you just got one point of it, but one point of that vision, but you can get the whole panoramic point of the vision that you have. So being able to, especially when it comes to business, things don't always go the way that you want to.
Things never go the way that you want to.
You don't always,
business.
yeah.
Especially in service.
In service, especially. You give so much of yourself when you are in the business of service. And if you also don't have the same kind of support that you thought you were going to have, or if you don't have the same kind of team that's able to help you to do the things that that is not part of your genius zone, as Susan says, it can be taxing, but you also have to be flexible with it. You have to know when to work and when to rest, knowing how to understand that it's not always going to go picture perfect.
Right.
And that does, and when it's not going,
don't let that resistance be the reason that you don't take that step.
I was just about to say that.
You're going to experience resistance no matter where you are, no matter what point you are in your business. There's going to be seasons of growth. There's going to be periods where you don't know what the heck to do and you have to take drastically different steps. And that's going to happen whether you stick with this one linear goal or you pivot off to something else. Yeah. So don't feel like because you're trying to go a different direction and things don't go smoothly that you shouldn't do it at all.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that at all, because and that is, I think that stops a lot of people from doing anything, because if you're anybody, oh my God, I need a sign, you're going to take that as being like, okay, that's it. And that's
where you have to remove your emotions.
Yeah.
Logic. If it didn't work, go another route, try another scenario, whatever, apply a different method.
But I would say this too, if you're trying to go on to onto a certain venture in your business and everything, and you came upon a resistance, and you kind of got over it. But if you I feel like if you continuously get a form of resistance every single time, you have to start to weigh out, is it really worth it? You have to, and then again, you get to a whole nother pivot point.
Are you doing the right things?
Yes.
Because if you're trying to do something you haven't done before and you're trying to do it on your own, that ain't gonna work.
Nope.
So that goes back to being committed to, like, picking a decision, committing to it, and then finding the right resources, finding a mentor in that field. If you're not proficient in it, if like you need a business partner, whatever it is, but making sure you're not just trying to do things out there blindly if it's not within, I don't want to say your zone of genius, but sometimes it takes having that extra help, that extra support, who is strong in the area that you're not. You may be a great coach, but the business part you don't understand. You may not understand marketing or whatever it is. You need to make sure you have the support to do it. So you can't say that you're not good at being a coach because you couldn't get your stuff out there if you don't know anything about digital marketing and you're trying to do it on your own. So make sure you make that differentiation. Yeah,
especially if that's something you're not really interested in. When you're starting your business, especially if you have like a very independent leader type of personality, you feel like you can get it all on your own, and it's just not true. It's just not true. And you have to, and we say, I think we push this a lot in our podcast, but you have to be willing to go out there and get that extra help. And then also when you do that, Susan was talking about this in the last podcast about, what she's going to be doing. It's going to help a lot of women. When you start to realize where you flaw at and where you don't excel in, you give an opportunity for someone to bring in their gifts and their passion and have them excel. Right. And so even if they're in their own initial or starting phase, they're still able to grow their passion and their art and their gift. So being able to step out of the way sometimes you always want to step in it, like I got it. Sometimes you got to step out of it and let someone else come in and be able to do that, having that pivot point, knowing exactly where you are and where you're not. And it really does, it causes less stress. Yeah. It causes less anxiety. It causes less anger, resentment, regret, all that stuff. And you don't need to carry time. That. Yes.
when you try to do everything and the things that you're not good at, if it takes you 2 hours to make a PDF, that is not you. That is not for you. So go ahead and hand that off to someone else who can get it done in 5 minutes.
And that's it. And then you get to be in your state of bliss.
And you can focus on the things that you're actually good at and get more work done and help more people instead of sitting there stressing over the little things that you shouldn't be doing anyways, especially if you're the coach. You can't be everything. You can be everything, but you're not going to do it well. You're not going to reach people.
Yeah, and then, you want to be able, and I know we live in this world where everything is so fast-paced. Everything is microwavable. Everything is kitchen cutter, pretty,
instant
gratification. So in that in itself, you'll get to a spot where you're constantly comparing yourself, or you'll get to a spot where you feel like you have to give it has to be 100% perfect.
Yeah.
And it's not. So that, again, knowing if you want quality work, being able to pass it off on someone else who can actually give it to you, so then that way you can still put it out efficiently as fast as you want it to is so key. And being open enough to admit that you need it, and being able to put yourself out there too, whether it is going on asking for help on Facebook. And what was another site you can go on to, like if you need
for like assistance?
Yeah.
Fiverr, Upwork.
What's another good one we would use? I don't know, but finding those different platforms where you can go out there and receive that help if there's no one in your immediate circle. And that's another thing. Sometimes you want the people around you to be able to do it,
and that ain't it.
It ain't working. You're trying to run a whole business. You're trying to change your whole life. You're trying to help other people, especially, again, if you're in service. So being able to outsource some of the different needs that you have, definitely go in there looking at different reviews of or whatever website or whatever person you're trying to use, the different experiences that other people have had with them. So that way you can actually be able to get the work done and have it be quality. So that way you can actually have a relationship with people around you and not be looking at them like, no, dog. You really starting to irritate me now.
And I think a good point is to understand, where you want to be in life, and to look at like not your end goal, but like your long-term goals, and be committed to that goal, that picture, but not the process by which you get there. We have this picture in our head of how like this journey is going to go, and we're going to have this many likes and this many things. This person's going to be I'm going to hire somebody by this time. And the more pressure you put on yourself to hit these self-imposed deadlines and these visions, like where do they come from, first of all, and why do they matter? And if you sit there and anytime something doesn't go according to your plan that you made up in your head, that with no rhyme or reason behind it, and then you're like, this is not working, I'm not gonna make it, and then you sit there and talk yourself out of it, when it really, like, just be committed to where you want to go. If things don't work, then you need to pivot, do something else, find someone else who is in that zone of genius of whatever area you need help in. But you can't sit there and think about this has to go this way or it's not working. Yeah, don't stress it, because if you tried it and it didn't work, there's no point of, because when you start stressing it, you let that turn into an excuse on why you're not going to do it anymore, or why you haven't done it. And once you have that in your head, you're done. Yep. You can't think clearly. You start making terrible decisions. You, again, the anxiety. A lot of this goes back to like yourself. And I feel like we talk about this in a lot of episodes, but the issues that you deal with in business and in life, the way that you interpret them and your response to them have a lot to do with whether you're able to overcome them and actually progress and to get to that next level, or if you're going to be a little punk about it and just quit. Yeah. It's hard not cursing.
It is. I mean, I like to drop a nice F-bomb here and there, but we're trying to do this for the children. You know what I'm talking about? But I think for me, I even like being here with Better Bodies. I feel like I've been in every different branch that you can be at this point. Yeah. I started phone calls, then it was training, where my money at messages. No, but in real life, where the money at? Okay, we ain't playing with you. We got a lawyer now. But in all those different spaces and places, I was very uncomfortable. Yeah. But I think And sometimes you have to, and me being me, sometimes you have to learn the lesson underneath everything. Because even though I've never done it before and I was extremely uncomfortable and I didn't like it, it helped me to realize what I can do. Like if I can do this for the things that I don't like to do, then that means I have the same amount of energy and power to do the things I do want to do, that I know that I'm good at, and that if I can grow in that, then I can also grow in my other areas that I know I'm talented in. And it helped me to realize more of my strengths. It helped me to realize that I am really capable. And for a while, I would say I always downplayed a lot of what I did, but sometimes doing those things that you don't want to do, it does expand you more. It does expand your awareness of yourself. It expands your awareness of whatever venture you're going into, because that helped me in business, because I know how to reflect this even more in my own business and everything. And so, and it's almost like a practice run. Sometimes you got to look at it as a practice run. It'd be all right. You try your best and everything. You make sure, no matter what, you make sure you put the best effort you can. But it's okay if it doesn't go according to plan.
Right. And if you do get to the point where you decide that you want to go a different direction, like, don't be afraid to let it go.
Yeah.
It's not quitting. If it gets to the point where it's causing you more stress and you don't see the value, you don't see the love, you don't see the passion for it anymore, I think that is like the ultimate sign that you need to let go. You need to do something either drastically different or just like you're done with that venture.
Yeah, and especially when it comes to service, we work in service, like work with services for people, so I don't know how it is with products per se. But if you're providing a service for people and you're getting to a point where you just don't have it anymore, you don't have that same thing, the same kind of energy for it. Now you're doing a disservice to the people that you're servicing, and they pay good money to be, to be a part of your business and everything. And you want to make sure, and that's the number one thing you have to make sure of when you're in service, is customer satisfaction. So at that point, if you feel like that area is starting to go down, or if you're not as passionate about it, that's when you have to start making those hard decisions of whether or not to continue and not. And again, like Susan said, it's not quitting, it's not failing, because as long as you have something else that's underneath your belt, again, it was a practice one, and now you come back, you regroup, you look at stuff, what this went wrong, or I'm gonna change this, change that, and you go back at it. It doesn't mean to stop. It was a stopping point, but that doesn't mean for you to...
It was a pivoting point.
It was a pivoting point, but it doesn't mean
quick change of direction. Quick feet. Athlete, go ahead.
Okay, but it's okay. Yes. Oh, I remember pivot. But you don't want to feel that was the end all be all, because it's not. Because then if you really do stop, then that's going to cause a whole other emotional and mental torment that you don't need to put on yourself.
Yeah, and I almost feel like it having these like pivot points, it shows me like where my attention span is also, because I've realized I do this thing. I take everything as a challenge. Once I've mastered it, I'm kind of done with it.
No, but real life.
Yeah, it is real life. It goes back to knowing yourself. So like going into like going into my next venture, I want to set it up where like I'm going to have an out. So making sure that, and again, this goes back to realizing, do you want to be the business or do you want to be a business owner? You can't build your whole brand around yourself where it can't function without you. If you have that short attention span, you realize you might not want to do this for forever.
So here's the thing, going into my cosmic stuff. Susan is a Libra.
I am a Libra.
And I'm an Aries.
Balance.
We're both cardinal signs. Do you know what a cardinal sign is, Susan?
Nope, but you about to tell us.
Cardinal signs are the people who like to get things started. They are the jump start. They are the fire. They are the light. Idea. They are the idea. They have it. They can get stuff going. The problem is the longevity of it.
It ain't there.
You can't see it through, which is why you say, which makes sense for you and even for me, that we are going to go into businesses where you get things started, but you have an out where it can still flourish and everything. And again, that goes back into knowing who you are. You ain't gotta be into astrology or anything like that, but you do need to know exactly who you are. And that's the thing of what's wrong with people nowadays. People don't want to fess up to
their stuff, their inner workings.
Now is that starting to make me mad.
No, just say it.
People don't want to fess up to their and you have to be able to know that, and it doesn't make you a bad person. You really have to be honest about who you are and embrace it, because there's no point in living this life in a fake facade of who you are in fear of judgment and ridicule or whatever it is, or failure.
Trying to fit into that box of what you think people want you or need you to be.
Because we don't always realize too that a lot of ways that we are, it is a part of programming, whether it's programmed from your family, growing up, society and everything. But knowing that you have the power, okay, and the choice, the pivot to even shift out of that paradigm of that character that you've been playing for such a long time.
No matter how deep you are, no matter how long you've been doing it, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter what people think of you already, what box you think you fit in, what career you've been in for 10, 20 years. It doesn't matter.
Right. Because when people have a vision of where they see their life, how they want their life to be, they see the outside world of it, but they don't see themselves. They don't see the internal change that goes along with that vision. So when you see that vision of where you want your life to be, the house you want, the car you want, your environment, whatever, you have to start to align with that. There's a certain vibration, frequency that has to go there. And if you're weighed down with all the excess baggage that you have in this current life of how you operate daily, you're never going to be able to get that. You have to start going through the process of letting that stuff go, going through the process of addressing your issues, going through the process of seeing yourself, how you play your role in that vision.
Right.
And if you don't have that,
how you play your role.
How do you play your role in this new vision? It's not how you are now. And it honestly is a death. It honestly is a grieving process. You get to a point where you start to grieve yourself. You grieve what you ate. You grieve what you watched. You grieve how you felt the sun on your face. You grieve a lot of different things, and you feel like you're losing yourself. But at the end of it all, you're gaining so much more. Because the thing about it is, when you're starting to make this change and this shift, it doesn't mean that you have to. Your past, you can't carry it with you, because no matter what, it is a part of you. It's a solid foundation that now you can stand upon and build upon more of. But you can't stick with that only. You have to know that it already is you, and to embrace different things, to embrace change, to embrace the newness that you're wanting. And so just being able to actually to know that you're worth it and that you're capable of it, because a lot of people don't think they're capable of it. You're never going to have it. So you got to make that decision. I'm done.
Mic drop one time. Desiree does this thing where she's like, I'm not going to have that much to talk about on this topic. And I'm like, this one is all about you. What do you mean? And then she comes in and she hits this point, and then she's like, Bible. Preaching.
I don't know. Sometimes in this very moment, it's about being in flow with yourself.
Yeah.
When you finally start to tap into who you are, and it doesn't really matter. Not even like it doesn't even matter what other people think of you. It doesn't even matter what you think of yourself. Because a lot of times, a lot of times it's not other people. It's you.
It's always you. And what you think that they think of you, or what you think that person is thinking. And they might not care at all whatsoever.
And then, I know, again, when it comes to pivot points, I had a lot of people around me telling me who they think I am, or not even telling me who they think I am. They're telling me what they see in me.
Right.
And for a while, I didn't see it. But then I got to a point where I'm like, okay, it wasn't like it was anything negative. It's sometimes when I would hear that from people, I used to get upset about it, like, I don't see it, leave me alone. Because again, what
are you talking about specifically? Let's get deep here.
So all right. So for example, everyone, I'm a life coach and everything. And everyone says, I bring in a comforting environment to people. I just give great advice. I get
Mama bear.
I'm the mom. I really hate
I know,
that.
that's why I said it. I hope you got a close up on her face.
But then again, I guess the mama bear part, I only hate it because to me, it's a part of an old paradigm. And when I think of a mother, I think of so much self-sacrifice. You sacrifice the things that you want for the people that you love. And I don't want to be anyone's martyr. I don't want to be anyone's hero anymore. I want to be my own hero. I want to know, what does that look like? I wrote on a piece of paper on my refrigerator, and it says, what does valuing yourself look like? What does investing in yourself look and feel like? And that's where I'm at. If people around me is telling me, you have it, you have the voice, you have that, I started to ask myself, okay, how do I see it? Because sometimes when you have, especially when you're in service, when you just have it, you're not able to see it. It doesn't, it's not a tangible thing that you can just say, give a pamphlet. And so for me, it's because I couldn't see it, and it's something I've done my whole entire life. I saw no value in it. But the moment I started to get in line with that vision, because I already set in my mind, okay, this is what I want, and everything around me started to come up that led right back to that point. I said, okay, so now it's time for me to see it. Now it's the time for me to embrace it. And that's why I don't always like the mama bear thing, because I don't want to totally put it off, because no matter what, that is me. I am mama bear, but it's not
you don't have to sacrifice everything for others.
And it's not and to me, I always felt like you have to be one way, and I don't have to be one way. Being the mama bear is a part of me.
You can have multiple layers to your personality, to the person.
And then also just knowing how to pivot in yourself in certain situations. Like, you can be, like Susan was saying in other podcasts earlier today, she is a mother, she is a business owner, she is a spouse, she is a trainer, a power lifter. She's all those things. So you get yourself, you start to be in certain situations where you get to, once you start to identify with yourself more, once you start to align with yourself more, once you start to really accept yourself in all areas, flaws and all, then you get to start to know how to you get to be all of it. And whenever a certain situation arises, you get to have a choice. Oh, okay, we're moving here. I'm going in this mode. I'm going in that mode. But it doesn't mean like a separation. It doesn't mean that you're faking yourself. That is you. You are all of it and more.
Why do you think people get so wrapped up like in these boxes? So when I think about like my life in general, I don't feel like I've ever like let anyone put me into like, you have to be this, you have to be that. And
they want to be accepted.
But
they want to feel love. They want to feel that they matter. They want to be recognized.
That's
but
so, like, putting yourself in this box and like, I have to be this person to be loved. Who teaches you that? At what point, like, do you decide, like, I have to be this kind of person in order for my mom to love me? Like, how?
I think it goes down maybe something significant happened in your life. We as people, especially as children, we are very sensitive, and it just kind of goes up into like what your makeup is. Depending on what happened to you as a child, it can really affect it. Like for me, I would say, when I was a kid, I was the bigger girl, so I got teased a lot for my weight. So I started to develop my personality around not being bullied. So I wanted to be kind. And even though no matter what, I've always been kind, but I wanted to be kind because, okay, if I'm kind, people are not going to mess with me. I wanted to, my self-defense was also like even talking about my weight before someone even said anything about my weight, because I felt like then now you can't really hurt me. It really is it's about protecting yourself and how you see yourself and not getting your feelings hurt.
So knowing that now, we as mothers of daughters, like what can we do to prevent our daughters from feeling like they have to fit into this box? Because I know like with London, especially, she's such a creative person. Like, the things that she puts, I let her dress herself.
Yeah,
she's interesting, but I know like I make it a priority to let her be herself. I mean, I'm not gonna let her act out or anything crazy like that. But like the things that she wants to do, like oh my gosh, my child, she like will stop in the middle of the street and be like, "Mom, let's sit down and look at the moon." She did it to me the other night. Like, she's just very interesting, I don't know, she might be cosmic like you, I don't know. But I know that I want to always like encourage her to be whoever she is and to embrace that. And I'm almost afraid like when she goes to school that someone's going to try to dim her light.
They will.
So what do you think like we like as mothers can do to make sure to reinforce our daughters to make sure they are who they want to be and to be that same person regardless of who may comment, who may have something to say about the way they dress, the way they talk, the things that they like?
I think right what you just said right there. To let them know that other people are going to have different opinions. And that even if those opinions don't align with how you see yourself, it doesn't take away from who you are or the person, the value and worth that you have. People go through a lot of different things that we don't know of. And sometimes they use other people to take that out on them because they're going through their own things. But
so
that
is
just
insecure people talking smack about other people.
It is because they're insecure. They almost are looking at you like, man, why I don't have it?
Right.
I wish I had it. And so they want to take it from you.
Right.
When you have a light that's so bright and they can see it and they don't see it within themselves, they're leeches. They're vampires.
The crazy part of that is though, there are those people, but then you being authentically you, it allows everyone else
at the same time. So it's about having like a certain covering and shield. So the covering and shield that we would give to our daughters is that every time they go out, you encourage them with wonderful, powerful words. When they're around, you allow them to be themselves. And I think the biggest thing in allowing someone to be themselves is allowing them and helping them to trust the decisions that they make. Picking out their clothes, picking out what they want to eat. Even though my daughter, you're going to eat yourself a peanut butter jelly sandwich, but we're going to work on that later. That's a whole nother story. Allowing them to make decisions and being sound and listening to them. Like if they really don't want to do something like giving someone a hug or anything, allowing them to make that decision. Because sometimes as
you ain't
parents,
gonna hug my daughter if she say no.
Right. Sometimes as
you're
parents,
not gonna touch her hair.
Right. Oh,
I hope you got a close up. You will not touch my daughter's hair.
Don't do it. She gonna get you. But as parents, because we live in society sometimes, and we know how the society tells us how we should operate and move. And if our child starts to step outside of it, then we start conditioning them right then and there to do the same thing. And it may not align with their personality. And we think like, oh my gosh, if I don't teach them now, when they're going to grow up, they're going to be this horrible people. We don't know that. And it's not fair to them.
I don't think like that at all. Like as I'm watching London grow, I'm trying to figure out like the person that she wants to be already. And making sure that, like, I know I'm an athlete and I love sports, but if she decides she wants to be a singer, wants to be a dancer, whatever it is, then, I'm going to encourage her to do that thing.
Right.
I think it's so interesting when people, like, they impose their ideas on their kids and they want them to live vicariously through their kids.
Yeah, that's the thing. And then even going back to, with London and Brielle going to school and there's someone that's bullying them or making them feel bad about them, I would simply say that's not your person. You have to go into someone else who makes you feel good about yourself. Because sometimes you even get addicted. Sometimes people like that kind of abuse. I don't know. I kind of have a reason why. But I would tell Brielle or London, if there's a certain person or certain people in your class that are being mean to you or they feel like you're being too weird. I remember when I was in high school, and obviously it still stays with me. I try to say that it doesn't, but the one boy told me that I was the weirdest person he ever met in his life. And I was like, really, the weirdest? I don't really think I'm that weird. But obviously, I still can say this 10, 11 years later, something in there within me felt some type of way. And because you want to feel, as humans, we have this tribalistic mentality where we want to feel part of the group. We want to feel a part of something. And depending on whatever environment that you're in at the moment, if you don't align with that, you can get isolated. Not everyone is comfortable with being alone. But I think when you're alone, that's when you really get to start to tap into that God force, that God voice, that inner self, that true authenticity. So
if you can't be alone, then I feel like you have a lot of things you need to deal with, like within yourself.
Yep.
That says a lot about you. If you can't deal with your own thoughts and really process like the world without having someone else's input or some other stimulus, there's a lot of things you need to deal with within yourself.
Yeah, 100%. Now, we supposed to be talking about pivoting. Are we still talking about pivoting here?
Yeah, we're pivoting in life, not allowing people to put boxes on ourselves and on our children. We're still there.
Okay,
still there.
yeah. So
we're getting to the end.
That's what I would tell Brielle and London, because they are beautifully and wonderfully made, and there is nothing wrong with being who you want to be, and there's nothing wrong with being okay with changing, and there's nothing wrong with change. It doesn't have to be a death. It can be a beautiful birth. It can be so exciting. You can get excited.
New beginnings
about
are
it.
so exciting.
They are.
And instead of again going back to, like, it's not quitting, it's not giving up on something. You're simply moving to a new venture. You're deciding you want to be a different person, and it's okay. Don't let anyone tell you that you aren't enough, or you didn't make it, or you leaving us behind, you bougie, whatever.
I'm bougie.
I'll be that. I'm gonna be happy too. While you sitting there all
bougie. I don't know
while you frustrated with your life because you let someone put you in a box and you can't get out of it.
Yeah. Life is too short to try to fit into everyone's box. Life is too short to try to be who you're not, and you just
even put labels on yourself. To let anyone else's opinion define you and define the things that you're going to do, whatever step that may be in business, in life, or in health. To let anyone's opinion to change the trajectory of what you want to do. Anything other, like, between you and God, that's all that matters.
Yep. Do it, girl and boy, whoever's listening, you got it.
Yeah, so if you have that feeling within you, if you're feeling the resistance, and it's not just from a lack of a plan or a lack of having good support around you, if you really have that feeling where it's time to take another direction, and if you can't get it out your heart, you can't get it out your mind, if there's something else that's calling you, don't be afraid. Even if you feel like you haven't been that person before, you're afraid that it might not work out, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
You won't know until you try, but you have to decide, and your intentions, they have to be in alignment with what you say you want. So
right, and know that there's always room to grow. Like, you always can and will continuously grow, and that's okay. And sometimes growth is about change, and you just have to embrace it.
Right. That next point might not be your end point.
Yep.
So don't be afraid. Go for your dreams. And we'll end this here.
Yeah, so we're going to end this here, guys. I hope you were able to get a good word from this. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video. And we're so excited to see you guys further on. Oh, and also follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Facebook is Strong by Choice. Instagram is Strong_by Choice. And we will see you next time. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, like, and share on Facebook at Strong by Choice, and also on Instagram at Strong_by Choice.